Hello everyone and welcome back to Rebooted MCU. Today we are here with the Rebooted MCU Phase 5 Part 7. And I know it's been a while since the last Rebooted MCU episode, but here we finally are back again. I want to quickly remind everybody, if you haven't subscribed, to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get right in. The 8th project of Rebooted MCU Phase 5 is X-Men Apocalypse. The movie opens up inside the woods in Tombigbee National Forest in Mississippi, as we see Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, played by Joseph Quinn, Peter Rasputin, aka Colossus, played by Stefan Kapicic, Jean Grey, played by Abigail Cohen, and Warren Worthington III, aka Angel, played by Brandon Perea, walking through the woods. Scott turns to Peter. "Hey, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to have you aboard the team." "It's an honor to be here for the first time ever as an X-Men." "Yeah, don't get your hopes up, though. We mostly do lame chores. Exciting things only happen every once in a while." "Angel, come now. You know you enjoy being a part of this team. It's a great honor." "Yeah, right." "So, Scott, what exactly is Professor Xavier having us look for here again?" "Well, apparently there's a mutant that went missing following the Golden Awakening 4 years ago. She's become something of legend here. The people call her the Mississippi Life Drinker." The Mississippi Life Drinker? How exactly does someone get that name? It's not important. We should be focused on finding this girl and making sure she's okay. She could be in grave danger. Scott's right. Based on Professor Xavier's report, she's been seen around the woods in the last few weeks. So keep a sharp lookout, guys. She must have some innate ability to hide, and she's been doing it for years. But remember, above all, we need to make sure she's okay. The group nods. They continue searching through the woods as suddenly we hear a rustling sound as Peter turns to the rest of the group. Guys, did anyone hear that?" "I wouldn't worry about it. There's a ton of diverse wildlife here, so just keep looking." Peter nods, continues to look around as suddenly we watch as a girl leaps from behind a tree and grabs his arm. Peter screams as we watch his arm begin to return to its normal human form. Jean notices the situation and quickly runs over, closing her eyes and communicating with the girl telepathically. "It's okay. We're not here to hurt you. We are mutants like you. We want to help." The girl stops and falls to the ground, exhausted from lack of water and food. Scott and Angel join the group as they look down at the girl, who is revealed to be Anna Marie, played by Elizabeth Gillies. Scott stops for a minute and clears his throat. "This is the girl, guys. Let's help her back to the Blackbird at once." "Dude, why are you always in such a rush?" "No time for this, Warren. Professor Xavier just sent me a message. Apparently the world is in danger. We need to go now." Cut to Egypt as we see Nightcrawler, played by Rami Malek, lying on the ground injured, as we see Cable hiding behind a destroyed building, reloading a gun. "This isn't good. Come on, Jake. Hold out as long as you can." We cut to see Jake Lockley, aka Moon Knight, played by Oscar Isaac, fighting against the creature who we saw at the very end of Moon Knight. The creature known as Apocalypse, played by Javier Bardem. Apocalypse grabs Jake by the neck, punching him so hard that Jake gets knocked out. "Jake, I hate to tell you this, but I think I'm going to sit this one out. You guys got this, right?" says Conchu, voiced by F. Murray Abraham. "Come on, Conchu, now's not the time. We need all the help we can." "And what exactly am I going to do to help you out against this creature that not even Jake can take down? I don't even know what this thing is." Watch as Cable puts down his gun. "You know what? I'm going to finish this myself." Cable grabs his blade from its holster and rushes towards Apocalypse. As he leaps, Apocalypse grabs him by the throat. "Why exactly are you and your pathetic excuses for warriors trying to attack me? I don't even know where I am." "You shouldn't be here. I can't believe I'm looking you in the face, monster. It's your DNA that causes the virus that has changed my appearance forever. I always imagined what I would do if I ever saw you. I would cut your head clean off for all the pain you caused me and all the others in my time. And now, I'm going to do just that." Cable screams as suddenly we hear a cracking sound, as we notice that Apocalypse punched Cable in the stomach so hard that he falls to the ground, unable to breathe. "I am Insaba Nur. Don't lecture me about appearances, boy. My own parents rejected me because of how I looked when I was just a boy. When people refuse to give you love, You demand that they respect you in the very least. Last thing I remember is attempting to overthrow Ra, but that blasted Tut sealed me away in that rock cocoon. And now, it appears that humanity has continued to reign supreme. No, this won't stand. I will claim my throne. I am Ensabah Nur, the strongest warrior of Akaba, the conqueror of civilizations. People around the town run in fear as Apocalypse looks at the three fighters. None of you are worthy to join my ranks as my horsemen. But before I begin my great reign, I must find my horsemen. They must be worthy. They must be champions. Apocalypse closes his eyes and chuckles. I believe I've located my first champion. Nightcrawler lifts his head to see Apocalypse teleport away from the battlefield. As he crawls over to check on Jake and Cable, he sighs. We might be responsible for causing the destruction of the Earth. What in the world are we going to do? Apocalypse teleports to a back alley in Texas as we see Fred Dukes, played by Martin Ford, beating up on a smaller man who coughs out. I already gave you all the money. What else could you possibly want from me? Oh, I don't want any of your money, pal. I want you to remember what happens when you stare at someone bigger than you. As Dukes punches the man, knocking him out, he turns around to view Apocalypse as he cowers. Whoa, what are you? Some sort of freak? Come here to mess with me? Because everyone who's picked a fight with me has limped away, regretting it. I'm not here to fight you. It wouldn't be much of a match. I'd beat you before you would have the chance to comprehend what happened to your feeble body. You have a death wish or something, you salamander-looking freak? You're quite the specimen of genetic superiority. Your mutation increased your muscle mass, making you incredibly powerful, but you could be more. I will make you more than you could ever hope of being if you choose to join me. Watch as Apocalypse's eyes glow as suddenly watches Duke's muscles expand in size. As he feels his body, he cackles. Whoa, what did you do? And I feel great. Nobody can stop me. My horsemen of Famine, the one who balances the scales and brings about ruin in their judgment. Will you join me in conquering this feeble planet? If you can make me this powerful and will let me do whatever I want, I'll follow you everywhere and anywhere, pal. Good. I believe I have sensed two worthy recruits in the same area. We must move. Apocalypse places his hand on Dukes as the two teleport away. Cut to the X Mansion as we see various students heading to class and talking among each other as we watch the Black Hawk fly to the building and begin to descend at the school. We see Professor Charles Xavier, played by Giancarlo Esposito, and Hank McCoy, aka Beast, played by John Boyega, who watches the ship land as Scott, Jean, Peter, and Warren exit the ship. Peter carries Anna outside the ship as Professor Xavier smiles. Great work, my X-Men. How is Miss Marie doing? She hasn't said a word since we first got her. Her powers are super weird. It's like she can steal abilities or something like that, but she's really weak, super malnourished. Hank, take Miss Marie to the lab. Make sure she is taken care of. Yes, sir. On it. As Hank takes Anna to the lab, Scott turns to Charles. So, Professor, what exactly is this big emergency? You four, come with me. I have something I want to share with you. We cut inside Charles' lab as he opens up a book as the group listens on. Ensabah Nur was a young mutant who lived in ancient Egypt. He was rejected at birth by his parents and was subsequently raised by warriors. As he grew, he defeated many rulers around ancient Egypt. He was ruthless. He and his 4 horsemen spelled the apocalypse for many ancient civilizations, until he attempted to challenge the god Ra. Even with his powers, Ra was able to overpower the mutant and locked him away in a stone prison. Okay, hold up. How the heck has nobody else heard about this guy before you, Professor? I studied mutant history for years, and my studies brought me to Egypt, where they told tale of the apocalyptic conqueror who was stopped by their god Ra. Oh right, nobody believed your work before the Golden Awakening, did they, Professor? Precisely, Mr. Rasputin. I know it must be him, the power I sensed. His mind, it was filled with lust for conquest and destruction. What exactly is he capable of, Professor? I mean, what are we up against? His power is seemingly endless. The legends said he could teleport, create energy fields, manipulate energy, matter manipulation, superhuman strength, flight, telekinesis. But most concerningly, he has the innate ability to enhance mutant powers. What exactly do you mean by that, Professor? One of the reasons he got his reputation as a conqueror was from his heralds. He was able to enhance their powers and unlock any latent mutant abilities that might be lingering inside. So basically, he can make powerful mutants more powerful as long as they agree to serve as his heralds. If they agree to serve, or if he forces them to serve, Scott. He needs to be stopped as soon as possible. We can't question his motives or how he is still alive. We need to formulate a plan to stop him as soon as possible. If we don't, then I fear for what could happen to all of us and the Earth as a whole. Why don't we call Storm back from Wakanda? She can bring Bobby with her. They'll both be key allies in stopping Apocalypse. Can't do that, Miss Gray. Miss Monroe has been instructed to remain in Wakanda for the time being. The king needs her to help rebuild, and it's best for the students to continue their education and help in the rebuilding efforts as well. Well, we can always ask the new guy. He hasn't done literally anything since he first came. Oh, please, Mr. Cohiba would be more trouble than he's worth. Scott, need I remind you that you are the leader of the X-Men? I trust that our clawed friend would be a beneficial ally in the fight against Apocalypse. Please get him, then meet me in my office. Scott sighs as he walks away. Cut to the Maximoff farm in Iowa as we see Pietro Maximoff, aka Quicksilver, played by Evan Peters, run up to the door of the family home. As he enters, he shouts, "Pops, Wanda and I are back with the groceries." We cut inside the living room as we see Eric Lenscher, aka Magneto, played by Jason Isaacs, lying on the couch. He awakens. "Very good, my son. Help your sister put away the groceries. Then I believe we can watch the next episode of One Piece." Oh, goody. Right away. Watch as Pietro dashes around the kitchen as we see Wanda Maximoff, played by Elizabeth Olsen, entering the kitchen as she begins prepping to cook some soup. She groans. "Pietro, you know it is not proper to use our powers inside the house. Come on now." "Sorry, sis, but you know when the anime is a-playin', I ain't a-playin'." Wanda rolls her eyes as Pietro quickly puts all the items away in the cabinets and the refrigerator as he speeds inside the living room and sits down next to his father. "So what do you think's gonna happen today, Pops?" "I have no clue. That's the exciting part. But first, when is Raven going to return?" "Oh yeah, Raven said she heard about some Oyama Heavy Industries from some locals, but none of what she had heard led her to believe that any mutants had been experimented on in the past." "Ah, that must be her returning. Pietro, go let her in." As Pietro opens the door, we see Apocalypse and Duke standing outside as Pietro laughs awkwardly. "Pops? These guys friends of yours?" He watches Eric and Wanda walk up to the door as Eric stands in shock. What are you?" "Eric Lenscher, the man who calls himself Magneto, the master of magnetism." "How do you know my name? What are you doing here?" "I know all about you, Eric. I want you to tell me something. What do you really want from humanity?" "I want to make sure that no mutant has to suffer the same fate that my grandparents and mother suffered. Cruelty and hatred because of their beliefs and their differences." "Eric, your mind is fallible. You could desire so much more. Your power could bring about ruin, cause destruction and war. Your power could ensure that our kind is able to rule forever." Apocalypse's eyes glow as we see Eric begin to scream, as the ground begins to shake, as the house and the surrounding equipment begins to float in the air. "What the heck is going on?" As everything returns to the ground, Apocalypse approaches Eric and smiles. "My horseman of war. The one whose lust for ever-increasing power will thrive off of pathetic beings fighting against each other. Will you help me conquer this planet?" "Father, what is going on?" "What exactly do you have in mind? What exactly do I use this power for?" "We are going to level Egypt. Allow me to seek revenge on those who rejected me and sealed me away. Then we will move on to conquer all of humanity. Face the facts, Eric. You have always wanted humanity to bow to you and the other mutants." "Hey, lizard insurance looking dude, get out of here and leave my dad alone." Pietro rushes at Apocalypse as Dukes jumps in the way and punches Pietro down. "Why don't you butt out of here, small fry?" Wanda begins levitating as her eyes glow red. Apocalypse looks up to her. "Wanda Maximoff, your power is, well, substantial. I can't tell where it ends. I can unlock only a fraction of it. But will you be my horseman of conquest? Your power is unmatched in this world. Nothing can stop you. That is exactly the kind of power I need to help conquer humanity." "And what makes you think I'd want to join you in your quest to destroy humanity?" "Because your abilities are much more useful than that of your father's. I can find the new horseman of war. So do you want me to dispose of your father, or will you join me?" Don't do it, sis. Don't buy into this man and his sleazy sales pitch. Would you shut up, you Sonic the Hedgehog-looking freak? Apocalypse's hand begins to glow blue as he holds it up to Eric's head. Come now, Wanda. Make your decision. Wanda begins to cry as she says, Fine, just please don't hurt my dad. Apocalypse smiles as his eyes begin to glow. Good decision, Miss Maximoff. Wanda begins to shudder in amazement as new abilities are unlocked. She turns to Apocalypse, who smiles. One more horseman is needed, and I already know where we can go to find him. It's in a location filled with many other mutants. We will find our final member, and then our conquest will begin. As Apocalypse teleports away, Pietro sits up. A place with a lot of oh crap, the X-Mansion! I don't know what's going on, but I gotta warn Charles. He's the only one who will know what to do. We watch as Quicksilver takes off, running towards the X-Mansion. Back at the X-Mansion, we watch Scott pass the laboratory of Dr. McCoy. Inside, we see Anna Marie sitting on the operating table as Hank, who is now transformed into Beast, runs tests. So, Miss Marie, are you finally going to talk to me? I'm trying to do my best to help you, and I know you're hungry. I whipped up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for you, and I know it's not much, but it's better than nothing. Anna Marie sits in silence as Beast continues. Look, I've studied your mutant abilities. They are incredibly unique. You have the power to absorb others' abilities and use them for yourself. And staggeringly, the limitations of how far this power goes is something I can't quite seem to figure out yet. Anne-Marie continues to sit in silence as Beast walks over to her and hands her 2 yellow gloves. Here, I created these for you. These gloves should allow you to make contact with others without placing them in danger of having their abilities taken away. It's not much, but hopefully it helps. Anne-Marie smiles as a tear trickles down her face. She looks up and says, Thank you. Beast smiles as we watch Anne-Marie place the gloves on her hands and starts to eat the PB&J. We cut back to Scoff, who huffs and says, Here goes nothing. Watch as he slams open a door and shouts, Okay, Knucklehead, get up. The professor wants you. We cut inside the bedroom as we see Wolverine, played by Tom Hardy, lying on the bed. He chuckles. Ah, Scott, come to get me another Budweiser, bub. How about you get your lazy butt out of bed and come on? We didn't bring you here so you could lay around and bum off of us all day. This is exactly what I told you I was gonna do, bub. And if you have a problem with it, how about you come over here and make me get up? There are more important things to worry about, like the fact that there's a monster who is threatening to destroy Earth. Oh, just call that old Ambrosia guy and the big green giant to stop him. They got it covered. This isn't their fight. It's a job for the X-Men, and I intend to make sure nobody else has to get involved. A group led by you is gonna stop a guy who could end the universe? Please, a pansy like you ain't gonna stop nothing, bub. How about you say that to my face, then, you glorified science experiment? Wolverine gets up and walks to Scott. I said, you little pansy ain't gonna stop nothing. We watch as Scott and Wolverine begin beating each other up as Jean runs down the hallway and screams, Boys, now is not the time. Wolverine, head to Charles' office right away. Fine. Gotta get saved by our little girlfriend, bub. Good look, pansy. Jean walks up to Scott, who looks to her. I could have taken him, Jean. You didn't need to interfere. Jean kisses Scott on the cheek and smiles. You are cute when you're angry, Scott. Now come on, we have bigger things to worry about. Scott sighs as he follows Jean back to Charles' office. We cut outside the X-Mansion as we see Pietro run up to the door and smile. Ha! I knew I would remember where this place was. Pietro dashes inside as he runs around looking for Charles, till he eventually stumbles into Charles' office as we see Scott, Jean, Warren, Cyclops, and Wolverine standing around. Charles looks confused. Pietro? What are you doing here? Ah, finally, Charles. Everybody nice to see you. Hey, where's Iceman? I love that dude. Stay focused. What are you doing here? Who is this punk? Looks like a hippie. Sorry, I came to warn you about this really weird-looking guy. He took my dad and my sister, then he had this really fat guy with him. I have no clue what's going on. Charles, this kid is definitely smoking something. Pietro, please stay focused. Why are you here? Before Pietro can answer, he watches Apocalypse, Magneto, Wanda, and Dukes teleports behind Pietro, who stops, turns around, and points. That's what I came here to warn you about. A facility filled with mutants. The discrimination against our kind knows no end. My horsemen, let us recruit our final member and then be on our way to conquer humanity. These mutants will soon join our ranks as the dominant species. Professor, is that? Yes, that is Apocalypse, exactly as he was described by everyone who knew his legend. All right, X-Men, move out. Protect the other students. As the X-Men prepare to charge Apocalypse, Angel stops as we cut inside his head, as you see Apocalypse staring at Angel. Warren Worthington III. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Or would you rather call me by your code name, Angel? Don't call me by that name. Me and the X-Men are going to kill you. Do you not want me to call you that because it was your nickname given to you by your mother, or because you feel like you don't deserve it? What? What are you talking about? Shut up! Mr. Worthington, the man who has been an outcast his entire life, despite being popular. The boarding school you went to when you were a kid. Amanda, your girlfriend. Your father when he found out about your mutation. And even the X-Men. You don't feel like you fit in. You feel like an outcast. Your mother called you an angel, and she was the only one who understood you. Shut up, shut up, shut up! Angel falls to the ground sobbing. You don't understand. Nobody understands what it's like growing up with parents who care more about their own wealth than their own kid. Apocalypse walks up to him and pats him on the back. I understand, my son. My parents rejected me because of my appearance. I worked my entire life to become powerful and ensure that no mutant would ever feel rejected or outcast again. I know your mutation did not cause this feeling, but it has worsened the feeling. But I come here to offer you a chance to enhance it, my son. What do you mean exactly? I'm looking for my horseman of death. No, my Archangel of death. A more fitting name considering the circumstances. I will make you more powerful than you could ever possibly imagine. And I will always listen to you. You will never feel like an outcast again. You will always have a seat at my table. Always have a friend and confidant in me. Join me, Warren. I need you. Please, join me. You promise? Yes, my son. You will always be important to me. We cut back to the X-Mansion as suddenly Angel begins screaming. His skin begins to turn blue, and his wings begin to be replaced with metal. The X-Men watch on in horror. Warren, are you okay? Warren is gone, and so is Angel. All that remains is Archangel. No, Warren, don't let this monster control your mind. Shut up, old man. You never accepted me into your group. I have felt like an outcast my entire life, but no more. Now, my horsemen are ready. My horsemen of war, how about you show these fools the cost of messing with Apocalypse? Magneto's eyes begin to glow as the X-Mansion begins breaking apart, as you see the X-Men begin to float, as Magneto screams, summoning the building down to the ground, causing the inside of the building to crumble, as Apocalypse and his horsemen teleport away. We cut back to Egypt as we see Nightcrawler bandaged up, helping to place a cloth on Cable's arm. So your time travel device is really broken and there's no way we can bring Apocalypse back to the past? Yep, that's the rub. But that is the least of our worries. There won't be a future for you guys here if we don't stop him. Yeah, I was wondering about that. Wouldn't Apocalypse waking up earlier completely change your future? Nope, the inventors of the time travel device took that into account. Every universe has its own distinct number, so despite any changes that might happen in the past, I will still be able to return to my future. So there really are a bunch of timelines out there? Huh. Well, every time a major event occurs, a new alternate timeline is created. Supposedly, there have been alternate timelines since the very start of the universe, where major events occurred differently. But minor events can correct themselves and prevent a completely new timeline from being created. So, if we defeat Apocalypse, in my future, the lunatics who caused the techno-organic virus discovered artifacts of Apocalypse with his DNA, not necessarily his body. So theoretically, if we defeat him, there will not be too much of a difference in what could happen in my future. Meaning, as long as we defeat him, and my calculation that him waking up earlier than in my timeline is correct, then there won't be a major change in the timeline, thus preventing an alternate timeline from forming. This whole time travel stuff makes my head hurt. Yep, and that's the simple version. But I gotta ask, what the heck is taking you so long to regain your strength? I thought Khonshu was supposed to make you incredibly powerful or something. I'm not as powerful in the sunlight. Khonshu derives most of his power from the moon, and so do I. I'm not called Sun Knight, am I? Honestly, that name is a bit cooler than Moon Knight. Dude, seriously? Enough bickering. How much weaker are you exactly in the sun compared to the moon? Jake is probably able to go toe-to-toe with you two and put up a decent fight, but not anywhere near strong enough to fight Apocalypse. So we are helpless unless we fight during the night. Great. Suddenly, Apocalypse's voice echoes around the world. Humanity, your ruler has arrived. I was once given the name En-Sabah-Nur. That human name does not suit me. Instead, you can call me Apocalypse. And I am here to place mutants in their rightful place, as the rulers of humanity and the world at large. I know this place is inhabited with humans of remarkable strength and skill, but I have power to wipe out all of Egypt with the snap of my finger. And that would be after I send my horsemen out to do my work. My point is, you are all helpless. I will start with conquering Egypt, but before my conquest starts, I present you with a proposition. I am located at the Sun Temple of Ra. You humans can bring me offerings and dedicate your miserable lives to me, and you will be spared. Or, you can be wiped out with the remainder of Egypt tonight. Those of you who are not in Egypt, be warned. Egypt is only the start. I'll be conquering the whole planet soon, and well, the choice is yours. Join me, or oppose me. I will be seeing you all soon, regardless of your decision. Cable, Mark, and Nightcrawler look to each other as Cable scoffs. Well, we have to be on our way. What? How are we going to stand up against him? There's nothing we can do. Maybe, but I want every kid to have a future. Even if I have to end up scarred from this virus. I will take that fate every day for the rest of my life as long as other people can enjoy theirs. Mark stands next to Cable. I respect it. Come on, Kurt. We have to go. Well, at least I'll die protecting the world. That's better than going out in some other lame way. Cable snickers as the three begin walking towards the Sun Temple. We cut back to the X-Mansion as we see students repairing the building as the X-Men stand in the remains of Xavier's office. Beast walks in and clears his throat. Is everyone okay, Professor? Yes, Hank. A bit shook up, but okay nonetheless. Okay, well, I'm going to continue working with Anna Marie, but don't hesitate to send people my way if they need medical attention. Charles nods as Beast walks away. Scott turns to the group. I can't believe Angel didn't feel like he belonged with us. I always appreciated him and what he did for the team. Don't beat yourself up, Scott. It isn't your fault. I'm just wondering how the heck we all got our butts kicked by one dude. I mean, it was like we couldn't move. My dad's strong, but nowhere near that powerful. His powers have been enhanced by Apocalypse. And as we just heard, he is going to wipe out cities and towns in order to place mutants above humanity. My dad might not like how humanity treats mutants all the time, but he wouldn't want this. It isn't your dad, Pietro, or your sister for that matter. This is all Apocalypse corrupting their mind with his nonsense. And Scott, I'm sure that what's happening with Warren is him corrupting his mind as well. Nothing that we could have done different. Professor, what's our play here? How can we stop this guy? I mean, it's up to us. We have to do this. I say, you all just move aside. Let me get my claws on them, and they won't want to mess with us again. Get serious here. We need a plan. That is the plan, bub. We attack, head on. Wolverine does not have a bad plan when it comes to dealing with the Horsemen. The four of them have had their powers enhanced by Apocalypse. We will have to do our best to slow them down through sheer power. Told you, Laser Boy. Seriously, Professor? But the most important thing is taking down Apocalypse. He is a telepath, and the best way to destroy a telepath is by destroying their mind from the inside. Well, that's great then, Professor. You can put up a fight, right? I can, yes, but my powers are not strong enough as another in this room. Jean, you'll need to buy you enough time to face Apocalypse. You have the power to stop him, destroy his will to destroy and conquer. Professor, you can't be Jean. Your latent power is something I have taken note of since you first joined me. You have the potential to be more powerful than even me in terms of your telepathic abilities. It It is time for you to unleash your power. Not just for us, but for humanity. I don't know. I don't know if I... Don't doubt yourself, Jean. You can do this. I know you can. Jean smiles as Wolverine groans. Oh, please. Let's just go already. We don't got all day for this lovey-dovey crap. Scott, prepare the Blackbird. We are going to head out to Egypt. We don't have any more time. We must go now. I'm coming too. I might not be an X-Men, but I'm not going to let anything else happen to my father and sister. Or let them do anything else that's going to destroy humanity. I'm elated to have you, Pietro. You will be quite the asset to our team. Are you sure we still don't need to inform Storm of this? We could use her as well, Professor. No need, Jean. We have all that we need right here. Jean nods as we watch the team prepare to depart for Egypt. Cut to a few minutes later as a Blackbird speeds towards Egypt. On the ship, we see Wolverine walking around in a black suit. I like this much better than that stupid yellow suit they made me wear. I thought it fit your personality better than that suit. Say, Professor, what's going on down there? Outside, we see an Egyptian city burning as civilians are fighting against each other as the streets are filled with unconscious bodies and blood. This is one of the results of this announcement from Apocalypse. He seeks to cause mayhem before his attacks. And unfortunately, it appears that his plan has worked. Then we gotta get a move on. We have no time to waste. Humanity needs us now more than ever. Watch as the Blackbird lands a few miles from the Sun Temple as the X-Men exit the ship. He watches something flies at Colossus, hitting him in the head. What the heck was that? You don't think Apocalypse already realized that we came, do you? No, I don't think that was Apocalypse. He would have hit us with something far more powerful. Across the desert, hiding behind a rock formation, we see Moon Knight, Cable, and Nightcrawler, peering at the X-Men as Moon Knight scoffs. Dang, my Crescent Dart did nothing to him. That must be some kind of power. Are you sure these are the horsemen that Apocalypse was talking about? He said his horsemen had incredible power, and these lot look to be formidable, so that can be the only explanation. No bother. Let's take them down. Whatever you say, here goes nothing. Nightcrawler teleports away and lands on the face of Colossus, who screams, Well, what the heck is this thing? Get back, foul creature. Apocalypse will not win. Suddenly we watch as Cable rushes the group with the blade as Wolverine turns around and chuckles. Oh, this is my kind of party. Wolverine starts fighting Cable as Scott turns to Charles. Professor? I don't think these guys are working for Apocalypse. I think your intuition is correct, Scott. We watch as Moon Knight charges at the group as Charles closes his eyes and enters the mind of Moon Knight. Inside we see Steven, Mark, Jake, and Khonshu all standing in shock. Who is this guy? Khonshu. This guy a friend of yours? Never seen him in my life. Je vas te tracher! We watch as Steven and Mark hold back Jake as Charles clears his throat. My name is Professor Charles Xavier, the head of the Xavier School for Gifted Mutants. My colleagues and I are here to stop the mutant known as Apocalypse. We mean you and your associates no harm. Jake stops as Khonshu laughs. Wait, so you're here trying to stop that lunatic? Yep, and from the sound of it, you are trying to do the same. I don't know you, and quite frankly at this point I don't care about this mess. But what I do care about is that we figure out how to stop Apocalypse. So let's stop this foolishness and work together. How about that? We cut back outside as Moon Knight screams, Everyone stop! As everyone turns to Moon Knight, he chuckles awkwardly. So, these guys are not working with Apocalypse. What? No way! Wait, you thought we were working with Apocalypse? Well, my dad and sister are, but that's a whole other issue. Wait, what did you just say? Don't worry about it. What matters now is that we have 3 new allies to help us in the fight against Apocalypse. Scott walks up to Cable and extends his hand. I'm Scott Summers, but I go by the name of Cyclops. It's a pleasure to fight with you. Wait, Scott Summers? Well, my name's Cable. No, it isn't. That's your name when people hire you. Shut it, Kurt. So, what's this plan of attack? We can't just face this guy head on. We'll explain on the way, but for now we must hurry. Nightfall is quickly approaching. The group nods as they continue their march towards the Sun Temple. We cut to the Sun Temple as we see Apocalypse sitting in a man-made throne as the horsemen sit around him as civilians bring their offerings to him. He laughs. Why, thank you all for your generous contributions. You will be spared and will be given a favorable position in my new world. The horsemen watch on as suddenly they hear a voice from the distance. Well, we have come to give an offering of our own. We watch as Cyclops, Professor X, Jean, Colossus, Quicksilver, Wolverine, Cable, Nightcrawler, and Moon Knight march towards the temple as Apocalypse glares. Have you come to admit your defeat? Not on your life. In fact, we are here to bring about yours. Have you learned nothing from what happened last time, boy? You are outmatched in skill and power. You haven't a leg to stand on against me. Maybe so, but I'm not going to roll over without a fight first. If that's what you want, I will grant your wish. My horsemen, attack! Alright, X-Men, you remember the plan. Clear the path for Jean. Move out! Watch as the X-Men begin to clash with the Horsemen, as we see Wolverine and Colossus fighting Dukes, Cyclops and Nightcrawler fighting Archangel, Pietro and Moon Knight fighting Magneto, and Professor X attempting to control Wanda as Jean runs towards Apocalypse, closing her eyes and beginning to attempt to wipe his memory. Cut back to the X-Mansion as we see Anne-Marie sitting in silence as she stares longingly at her gloves as Beast continues running scans on her DNA. So I noticed that your jacket had Rogue on the back of it. What is that about? Anne-Marie continues to sit in silence as she finally looks up. Are you not concerned about your friends? In truth, I'm deeply concerned about their safety. But as of right now, I'm concerned with your well-being and getting to know your story. But why do you care? I don't need your sympathy, and I don't want it. Just because you don't want it doesn't mean I won't give it. I said leave me alone, okay? Anne-Marie breaks down crying as Beast stops what he is doing and sits next to her. There is something bothering you. You can't hide it from me anymore. Please, just tell me what's going on. I promised myself that I wasn't going to let anybody else close to me anymore, okay? Please leave me alone. You know, my dad was an engineer and my mom was a tactician. They worked in the power plant since I was a kid until one day there was a terrible accident and, well, they both died. I was 8 years old and I dedicated every second of every day to studying and playing football after that. Not really because I enjoyed doing those things, but because I never wanted to deal with the pain of losing my parents. I never wanted to let anyone close again because I never wanted to have to experience or go through that pain again. I got a football scholarship to play at Bard College. I was a star running back. That's where I met Professor Charles Xavier. He was my biology professor at first, but every day he would sit there and listen to me. And every problem I had, regardless of the time of day or what he had going on, he would listen. And that's when I knew, regardless of how painful it can be when people walk away or get taken away, being vulnerable and letting people in helps you heal. The X-Men and Professor Xavier will never replace my parents, but they are my family now. You don't get it. That is a luxury I will never have. I can't show people I love them anymore. I can't hug the ones I love. I can't kiss the ones I love. I can't do anything. Do you know why? Because of this stupid mutation. I was kissing my boyfriend when it happened. I loved him. Next thing I know, he was unconscious on the ground and I was freaking out. I ran. I ran because I didn't want to hurt anybody else, but I also knew I could never love again. So I decided the best course of action was to stay by myself, not let anybody in. That's why I've been running for the past 4 years. It has been lonely, and I have cried every night. But guess what? I can't let people in. I can't love because the risk is too high because of this curse. I will never understand your pain, Anne-Marie. What I can say is that love does not have to be solely physical. The X-Men love each other, and even though we bicker like children at times, we still do. Charles calls our mutations gifts because that is truly what they are. Yours might seem like a curse right now, and that's only because you haven't figured out what exactly makes your power a gift yet. Oh my stars and garters, Anne-Marie. Your powers are just what we need. Excuse me? Charles thinks the best way to get rid of Apocalypse is to completely destroy his lust for conquest. But if Apocalypse is as powerful as history holds him to be, it would be impossible for even Jean and Charles to combine their telekinetic powers to wipe his mind. But your powers. From what I can tell, your ability to absorb another being's powers is somewhat limitless. And if you were able to do that with Apocalypse, it might just be what we need to win. I don't know about that. I mean, I've never been in a fight before, and I don't know what I would do. Anne-Marie, listen to me. You have a gift, and I'm giving you a way to use it. The world needs your touch. or she's doomed. Anna Marie nods nervously. So, how are we going to get there? Well, I've been working on a little something in my spare time. Guess we can finally give this baby a spin. Beast and Anna Marie walk to the downstairs area of Beast's lab as we see a new ship. I call it the Thunderbird. It's the fastest jet that technology can create. I was hoping to take it for a test flight first, but I guess our current situation calls for more swift action. Anna Marie, are you ready? If you really think I can make a difference, and my powers can be used for good, then yeah. And also, call me Rogue. It's the nickname my aunt gave me. Beast smiles as Touch of Grey by the Grateful Dead begins to play. Back on the battlefield, we see Wolverine and Colossus fighting Dukes, who punches Wolverine away as he laughs. A tiny man like you thinks he can defeat me? What a pathetic joke. Oh yeah, I'd rather be tiny than a fat blob like you. Wait, what? What? Did you need me to tell you that you're a pudgy bub? Stop it, I'm not fat, I'm just big boned. Keep it up, Wolverine. It appears that he is dropping his guard when he is insulted. You're telling me that I get to keep calling this blob a fatso? Don't mind if I do, bub. Duke starts sniveling and runs away as we see Wolverine and Colossus team up to land a finishing blow on him. Cyclops notices this from across the battlefield as we see Nightcrawler land a massive blow on Archangel. Cyclops screams, "Way to go, guys! Keep it up!" When suddenly, he spots Jean across the battlefield as we see her struggling with her telekinetic powers. We cut inside Apocalypse's head as we see Jean facing Apocalypse. He chuckles. Do you really think a second-grade mutant like you can wipe a mind as powerful as mine? It doesn't matter if I think I can. I will. It's the only way to protect Earth. Fine. Here, I'll give you one shot, but only one. I won't defend. Use all your power and take me down. Wipe my mind. Let's see it. Come on, I challenge you. Jean begins unleashing as much power as she can, attempting to wipe Apocalypse's mind. But despite her best efforts, she is unable to make him so much as budge. She falls defeated. Apocalypse laughs. That's the best you can do to save the world. Oh, pathetic. Now, it's my turn. Cut back outside as we watch Apocalypse begin walking towards Jean. Archangel falls to the ground, defeated as Scott notices Apocalypse beginning his approach. He screams, "Everyone, focus your power on Apocalypse. Don't let him get to Jean." We watch as Moon Knight, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Quicksilver, and Cable all storm Apocalypse, but he is easily able to land massive blows on each of them. Magneto and Wanda stand on the side, panting. Cyclops and Professor X stand in front of Jean, as Cyclops unleashes the most powerful optic blast that he can muster. But Apocalypse punches him away and lifts Charles with his telekinesis. You tried, old man, but you and your team are simply outmatched. As Apocalypse attempts to kill Charles, we suddenly watch as a slash appears across his face as we see Wolverine land behind him. Apocalypse flings Charles away and turns around. Well, would you look at that? The feral animal made a dent on me. I'm the best at what I do, bub. And what I do, it ain't so nice. I think you will come to find that I'm not so nice either. Apocalypse begins to fight with Wolverine, whose regenerative abilities allows him to stand up to Apocalypse for an extended period of time, but he is slowly worn down. He falls to his knees as Apocalypse chuckles. Well, you put up a valiant fight, but unfortunately the ending of your story was written from the very start. Quit your blabbering, bub. Apocalypse begins to take aim at Wolverine, and as he fires a massive energy blast, watch as Cyclops dives in the way, pushing Wolverine out, but getting hit with the blast head on. Scott, why'd you do that? I might be a pansy, but I always protect my team. Scott passes out as Apocalypse laughs. This is his team, please. No wonder you all got beaten. A weakling like him can only lead weaklings. He ain't no weakling, bub. His name is Scott Summers, and he is a stronger mutant than you could ever hope of being. Wolverine uses all his strength and makes a final leap at Apocalypse, but is punched so hard, he collapses. They are like weeds. They don't stop until you starve them of light. Now, as to the mutant who was in my mind, she will be the first to go. As Apocalypse turns to Jean, who watches a jet soars overhead as two figures drop to the battlefield. We watch as Rogue and Beast land on the battlefield. Beast turns to Rogue. I will make sure Magneto and Wanda don't get involved. You go deal with Apocalypse. Right. I'll do my best. Beast nods and scurries away as Rogue walks up to Apocalypse, who looks down at her. Well, well, well. Who do we have here? You're a new one. Sugar, trust me. You're going to regret meeting me. And that ain't a threat, it's a promise. Anna Marie, I sense a great deal of pain inside you, but also a great deal of potential. Yet you are running around with this pathetic lot? Well, I ain't officially gotten inducted or anything yet. But yeah, I'm here to end you and this madness. Oh, please, don't make me laugh. You really think you can stop me? Well, in Mississippi, I was known as being a rogue tomboy. I would get into fights, and I can tell you don't swing like those boys back in Mississippi do. You will find I hit much harder. Oh, we'll see about that. The gloves are coming off, Sugar. You ready to square dance? I'll give you the first move, just to show you how outmatched you truly are. Rogue throws her gloves to the ground as she leaps at Apocalypse and touches his skin. Watches Apocalypse begin to feel discomfort as Rogue punches him, sending him flying across the desert. I told you, Sugar. I punch hard. Apocalypse screams as he and Rogue begin trading blows, with Rogue absorbing his power and using it back at him. Beast fights with Magneto, who attempts to involve himself in the fight. Wanda watches on in amazement, unable to move. Jean lies on the ground as suddenly she hears Charles speaking to her telepathically. Jean, listen to me and listen to me well. Anna Marie is strong, but she will not be able to hold her own against Apocalypse for long. There is one final card we can play. I need you to free Wanda of his control. Wanda? Why Wanda? Since the Golden Awakening, I have sensed a great deal of power in her, almost limitless, a power so latent yet potent that there might not be a true end to her abilities. She is our last hope. Please, Jean, act now or the world might be over. Jean nods and turns her attention to Wanda and begins talking to her telepathically. Watches Beast and Magneto continue fighting, and as Rogue continues fighting with Apocalypse, her inexperience in fighting along with her fatigue from being malnourished leaves her weak despite her ability to absorb power from Apocalypse. Apocalypse pants as he punches her to the ground. He snarls, I am done with this. I'm done with all of this! Watches Apocalypse unleashes a massive force field of energy, blinding the battlefield and hitting everyone within the proximity. As the dust clears, Apocalypse coughs. That blasted girl. I wasn't able to kill them all. She took too much of my power. Apocalypse looks around as suddenly watches Wanda rises from the dust as Apocalypse smiles. My horsemen of conquest, are you ready to finish the job? I no longer work for you. You said you couldn't tell the limits of my power. What exactly did you mean by that? Only hyperbole, my child. We'll see about that. Jean smiles as she lays defeated as we watch Wanda begin using her magic to land massive blows on Apocalypse. And while he does fight back, he isn't able to land a big enough blow on Wanda to stop her. Wanda manages to hold him using her magic and attempts to kill him. Even with your chaos magic, girl, you still can't defeat the Apocalypse. I am too powerful. Suddenly we watch as Rogue leaps onto Apocalypse, grabbing his head. I told you, Sugar. You don't swing like the boys back home. Apocalypse screams as Wanda unleashes her chaos magic, destroying Apocalypse in a blinding light. We watch as the dust clears on the battlefield, as Rogue lies on the ground. Wanda falls to her knees as Angel musters up enough power to fly away from the battlefield. Magneto picks up his head and chuckles. You did it, Wanda. You stopped him. We cut to a week later back at the X-Mansion as we see Beast walking out of his lab with Cable's time travel device. He hands it to him and smiles. I think I was able to fully fix it up for you. Wow, even with it having futuristic technology, you were able to fix it? Yep, it was a bit difficult to configure, but technology is quite impressive. Are you sure the premature emergence of Apocalypse won't cause any detrimental effects to our future and to your present? Well, if the corrective theory is accurate, then the changes made are relatively minor overall and didn't cause a new timeline to form. But that whole theory is a story for a different day. Needless to say, I'll be returning to my time for the long haul. The past is great, but I need to live in my present. Beast smiles as he and Cable walk outside as we see the X-Men, who are all bandaged up along with Moon Knight, greeting him. He shakes their hands and smiles. You know, It's been a pleasure to work with all of you, and even though I got this dreaded virus from that monster, it's a small price to pay for all of you being able to enjoy your lives. The group smiles and watch as Cable waves goodbye as he returns to his time period. Charles turns to Mark. So, Mr. Spectre, or is it Mr. Grant? Nope, it's Spectre. What are you going to do now? Well, I negotiated with Khonshu, and he's decided to let us go back to New York. I think this whole apocalypse situation has really made him appreciate the tranquility of life in the city. Happy to hear it, Mark. I hope you will stay in touch. For sure. So, what's next for you guys? Well, Scott has some new recruits he needs to whip into shape. Yeah, we got some nice additions. Not a perfect team, but it'll do. Scott and Jean turn to see Colossus, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Quicksilver, and Rogue stand together as Wolverine pouts. You know, Scott, whatever happened back there, it's in the past, bub. You got it. I ain't want to be reminded of what I said or what you did. Scott smiles as he shouts, Well, time to get to work. To me, my X-Men. We cut to deep space as we see Galactus, voiced by Liam Neeson, sitting on a throne as Silver Surfer, voiced by Pedro Pascal, flies to him. The mighty World Eater Galactus, I have brought your recruits as you requested. Silver Surfer moves aside as we see a Super Skrull, Annihilus, voiced by Andy Serkis, and the High Evolutionary, played by Chukwudi Iwuji, standing on a floating rock. Thank you, Norrin. My friends, I apologize that my other heralds could not be here to join in this glorious moment. I have been starved for years, not only in the pit of my stomach, but also starving for respect from the living tribunal. I have performed my duties, yet they refuse to show me an ounce of respect, and that is where you come in. The scales of power in the universe are about to shift forever. The three look on as Galactus begins to laugh. We cut to Kamar-Taj as we see Magneto and Wanda walking with Wong, played by Benedict Wong, who says, You are sure he said Wanda can use chaos magic? Yes, that is exactly what he said. Chaos magic is the most powerful form of magic, a form of magic not even the Sorcerer Supreme is able to wield. Did someone mention my name? The group looks up as we see Dr. Stephen Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, float down the stairs as he smiles. Eric, Wanda, good to see you again. What is this about chaos magic? My mutant abilities. It's the ability to control chaos magic, and I'm terrified. Stephen, my daughter needs a teacher. Someone to help her hone her abilities. If she truly is capable of using chaos magic, she needs someone to show her how to control it for the betterment of the world. Well, I've never seen someone with chaos magic before, but I've also never turned down a challenge. Come with me, Wanda. Your training begins immediately. And that is X-Men Apocalypse. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for waiting with me and for putting up with the wait in between the last episode to this episode. Hopefully there will not be another huge gap like this again. Of course, next we have Spider-Man Sinister 6, the final project in Phase 5, and if everything goes right, that'll be released before the end of December. But that remains to be seen. Just stay tuned for updates on that. Also, make sure to go check out the Rebooted MCU Side Projects channel, where on Monday you'll be able to watch a very Deadpool Christmas, a Christmas special written by me. It's really funny. I hope you all enjoyed. And with that being said, make sure to subscribe, join the Discord, and follow the Instagram page, and I will see you all soon. Take care.